When Bill turned 65, he decided it was time to retire and enjoy life. But after just a few months of him being home all the time, his wife was losing patience. "Bill, you need to find a hobby. Join a club. Do something. Just get out of the house," she insisted. Wanting to keep the peace, Bill went out for a few hours and returned home feeling quite accomplished. "So what did you do today?" his wife asked. "Oh, I went to the park, hung out with some guys, and guess what? I joined a parachute club." "A what?" "Are you out of your mind? You're 65 years old, and you're jumping out of airplanes." "Yep. Look, they even gave me a membership card." His wife snatched the card from his hand, squinted at it, then gasped. "Bill, you idiot. This is prostitute club, not parachute club." Bill's face turned pale. "Oh no, now what do I do? I already signed up for 5 jumps a week." A boy, his father, and his mother are having dinner, but the boy refuses to eat his broccoli. "Eat your broccoli," says the mother. "No," the boy shouts defiantly. The father leans in, whispers something in the boy's ear, and just like that, the boy gulps down his broccoli and hurries off to his room. Curious, the mother asks, "What did you tell him?" "I told him that if he didn't eat his broccoli, his Mickey wouldn't grow." Without hesitation, the mother stands up and slaps the father. Hard. Shocked, the man rubs his cheek. "What was that for?" "For not eating your broccoli when you were a child." A man went to his dentist because he felt something was wrong in his mouth. The dentist examines him and says, "That new upper plate I put in for you 6 months ago is eroding. What have you been eating?" The man replies, "All I can think of is that about 4 months ago my wife made some asparagus and put some stuff on it that was delicious hollandaise sauce. I loved it so much I now put on everything. Meat, toast, fish, vegetables, everything." "Well," says the dentist, "that's probably the problem. Hollandaise sauce is made with lots of lemon juice, which is highly corrosive. It's eaten away your upper plate. I'll make you a new plate, and this time use chrome." "Why chrome?" asks the patient, to which the dentist replies, "It's simple. Everyone knows that there's no plate like chrome for the hollandaise." There was once a sheep farmer who needed help with the difficult task of castrating some of his inferior male sheep to keep them from breeding with the females. He hired a French guy who didn't speak English but was a very good worker. After the first day, they had successfully castrated 14 sheep, and his French worker was just about to throw away the parts. But the sheep farmer yelled, "No, don't throw those away. My wife fries them up, and we eat them. They're delicious, and we call them sheep fries." Later that day, the French hired hand came in for supper, and indeed, the sheep fries were tasty. The next day, they castrated 16 sheep, and the following evening they all settled down to another supper of sheep fries. The third day, however, when the sheep farmer came home, he asked his wife where the French hired hand was. She said, "You know, it was the weirdest thing. I told him since there weren't very many sheep fries this evening, we were also going to have French fries. Then he screamed and ran like A flight crew was coming in to land at an unfamiliar airport. As they lined up on final approach, the pilot squinted out the window. "Pilot, does that runway look short to you?" Co-pilot, "Yeah, definitely shorter than expected." Pilot, "I was sure it was supposed to be longer than that." Co-pilot, "Same here. You sure we're at the right place?" The tension grew as they got closer. Pilot, "All right, full flaps." Co-pilot, "Full flap set." Pilot, "Be ready with the thrust reverses the moment we touch down." Co-pilot, standing by. Pilot, "And I mean full brakes the second we're on the ground." Co-pilot, "Copy that." They came in hot, but steady. The wheels touched down hard. Brakes locked up. Thrust reversers roared and rubber screeched, and they came to a halt just barely before the end of the runway. Pilot, "Man, that was tight. Definitely one of the shortest runways I've ever landed on." Co-pilot, "Yeah, no kidding, pauses, but you gotta admit, it's the widest one we've ever seen." A blonde was hard up for money, so she walked around her neighborhood, trying to find a job. She met a nice man who said he would give her work. All she had to do was paint his porch white. He gave her a bucket of paint and left. He walked into his house, laughing. He told his wife what he had done. "Frank, our porch covers half of the house." "You're so mean," his wife replied. 3 hours later, the blonde went in the house and gave the bucket of white paint back to the man. The astonished man handed her a $100 bill and asked how she finished it so quickly. "It takes time, but it was easy," was her reply. "Oh, and it's a Ferrari, not a Porsche." 3 nurses all decided to play a joke on the doctor they worked for. Later in the day, they all got together on break and discussed what they had done to the doctor. The first nurse said, "I put cotton in his stethoscope, so he couldn't hear." The second nurse said, "Well, I did worse than that. I poked holes in all his protection." The third nurse fainted. A new priest at his very first Mass was so nervous he could hardly speak and delivered an awful sermon. Afterward, he asked the Monsignor for advice on how to relax. The Monsignor said, "When I get nervous on the pulpit, I put a large glass of vodka in front of me instead of water. If I start to shake or stammer, I take a little sip." The next Sunday, the young priest followed that advice. At the start of the sermon, he felt nervous and began to shake and stammer. So he took a drink, then another, and another. He ended up preaching up a storm, full of energy, theatrics, and vigor. When he returned to his office after Mass, he found a note pinned to the door from the Monsignor with some additional advice. "Sip the altar vodka, don't gulp. There are 10 commandments, not 12. There are 12 disciples, not 10. Jesus was consecrated, not constipated. Jacob wagered his donkey. He did not bet his rear. We do not refer to Jesus Christ as the late JC. The Father, Son, and Holy Spirit are not Daddy Jr. and the Spook. David slew Goliath. He did not kick the holy crap out of him. When David was hit by a rock and knocked off his donkey, don't say he was stoned off his rear. We do not call the cross the big T. The Virgin Mary is not Mary with a cherry. And the proper grace before meals is not rub-a-dub-dub, thanks to the grub. Sometimes a little less of the Holy Spirit makes for a better sermon." A blonde was taking helicopter lessons. The instructor said, "I'll radio you every 1,000 feet to see how you're doing." At 1,000 feet, the instructor radioed her and said she was doing great. At 2,000 feet, he said she was still doing well. Just before the helicopter reached 3,000 feet, the propeller stopped and she twirled to the ground. The instructor ran to where she crash landed and pulled her out of the helicopter. What went wrong? The blonde said, "At 2,500 feet, I started to get cold, so I turned the big fan off.